Here today with Coach Adam Naron of the Herford Whitefaces. How you doing today, Coach?
Doing pretty good, Tony. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. So it's the spring. You're busy. Your kids are busy. You got graduation coming up here in a couple of weeks. You've got a lot of sports that have just ended. A lot of sports in the playoffs. A whole lot going on. You're getting to see your kids out there competing in other sports, and you're getting to see them in the weight room. So how's it going in the spring?
Things are going really well right now. We got a lot of kids getting a lot stronger. We got quite a few kids that have been competing in track and done well, and a handful of kids in baseball that are still in the playoffs. Our kids have had a chance to compete and grow and get stronger, and we like what we're seeing.
All right. Now, if you don't mind, like I said, we have graduation coming here in a couple of weeks, which means you're going to be saying goodbye to some players from your team. So, kind of walk us through your team for the fall. Who are you losing? Who might step into those roles? Who's going to be back? Who might be moving up? What are you going to look like in the fall?
Well, we're losing quite a few key pieces. On defense, we're losing several guys that have been playing since they were sophomores. Inside linebacker Jose Solorzano is going to go to West Texas A&M, and Eric Lucio, who went between linebacker and defensive line, is going to go to Wayland Baptist and play. So we're going to be looking for some guys to fill those spots. We played a lot of really young guys last year, a lot of sophomores. We have a good freshman class, so we'll probably see some young faces getting some new experience, stepping into those roles. Offensively, we had a senior quarterback split time with a freshman quarterback. Carlos Duran, our senior, is graduating. He's a stud on the mound, stud pitcher for our baseball team right now. So he's had a lot of success in baseball, and we'll be sad to see him go. But our freshman quarterback, Caleb Ramirez, who's also a stud baseball player, stepped in and started a few games for us towards the end of the year after some injuries and things like that, and did really well. So we're expecting some big things out of him.
All right. Now, kind of walk us through your district. Who are you competing against, and what do you think they're going to look like on the field this fall?
Well, our district's made up of Canyon Randall and Canyon High and Dumas and Pampa, and it's one of those districts where everybody is pretty tough and pretty equal when it comes to talent. Dumas for a while won that district, and last year we saw Randall and Canyon split the championship. Randall went several rounds deep in the playoffs, but that was our only district victory last year. So it's one of those things where anybody could win each week, and if somebody from our district makes it into the playoffs, we usually match up with the district, coming out of Fort Worth and Wichita Falls and Springtown area. But the winner of those matchups could go, several rounds deep. So it's a pretty competitive district. I expect to see everybody in our district, improve from last year. Pampa has a stud running back that was a freshman last year. Dumas is always competitive. Randall, we're not sure what they're going to be. They'll bring back some guys, but after opening the new high school West Plains there in Canyon, they've lost a lot of kids to the senior class. And then the Canyon Eagles are always tough, and that's one of our bitter rivals down the road. So we're excited about it, but it could go any way, any game, and that's just the way it is, and that's why we play the game.
Now, you've been around high school athletics for a few years. From your perspective, what would you say the biggest challenge facing high school athletics in Texas is?
Well, I think we're seeing, a lot of things being pushed through with the NIL deals, and I don't know if this is influence from people coming from outside the state and trying to get into our state legislature. One of the things that's made Texas high school sports great for years is the fact that kids represent their schools. We don't allow a mixture of private schools and public schools competing against each other to recruit kids and play like you might have in some of the other states. Our coaches are full-time teachers. So when we start seeing some of these things like the NIL deal trying to get passed through the legislature to pay kids, you start worrying about kids transferring for opportunities to make a lot of money or get these all-star teams put together in some districts. High school sports is supposed to be the purest form of competition and going out and representing your hometown. So, I think that's a challenge that we're going to see over the next few years, especially with the influx of people moving into Texas from outside of our state that probably aren't familiar with the way we do things. if they came from California, they did things a different way there than we do here. But it's a battle that we're going to have to fight as coaches and as an association, just to try to keep our ways.
Now, you mentioned coaches being teachers. Go a little bit into, from your experience and what you've seen, what the challenges presented to someone getting into the profession are, as far as their time commitments and the multiple duties that they have to face.
Yeah, being a coach doesn't excuse you from any of your teaching duties. Very rarely do you find a coach who doesn't have a normal teaching load. You may be teaching a math or science or history class. You're going to be expected to do all the same things that a normal teacher does. And if you're not an effective teacher, it's hard to be an effective coach, because kids can sense that. If you're not doing your job in the classroom, then they have a hard time respecting you on the field. But I would say, right now is probably one of the easiest times as far as school districts working with somebody for getting into education. If anybody's thinking about getting into education, there's a lot of programs that you can join. If you have a college degree, you don't necessarily have to have already gone to college to be a teacher. So if coaching something that somebody's thinking about getting into right now, reach out to a lot of these jobs that are open. A lot of, HR departments will work with coaches to try to get certified and hire them on as full-time employees, and put them through some programs that, when I first got into coaching, if you weren't fully certified coming out of college, it was really hard to find a quality job. So that's changed just with the scope of what education is right now. Since COVID, we've seen numbers of teachers and coaches leaving in droves, and we got to do something to bring those guys back and make this a place that they want to be.
All right, let's go from big picture to small picture. Try and learn a little bit about Adam Naron. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Oh, breakfast burritos. I'm a sucker for a good breakfast burrito. So I will, if anybody asks if I'm up for a breakfast burrito in the morning, I'm always down. We got great breakfast burritos in Herford, Texas.
The question isn't whether or not, it's where, right?
That's right.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck as you wrap up the school year, move into the off season and the 23 season.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.